Hi, I'm here in Minsk, Belarus, and I've got some kind of good news for guys and some kind of bad news for guys here in terms of dating. Now, as a man, it's kind of okay to be a bit chubby. Like the return on investment of getting in good shape and grooming well and all this stuff, the return on investment on this is pretty low for a man, to be really honest. And this is unusual because in the West we have this concept of, I guess, sexual market value, and these factors that determine your value and who you get with are centered around several things, but looks and appearance is definitely one of them. So you tend to find that a guy who's just average, doesn't really care that much about his appearance, maybe a little micro pot belly, kind of a 5 out of 10 guy, his girlfriend will probably look similar, right? 5 out of 10, bit of a plump butt, chubby thighs to go with his little pot belly, and that's what will happen. And if a guy's pretty fly, pretty handsome, tall, athletic, the girl he's got will be pretty similar, right? Slender thighs, blah blah blah. And if you're really overweight, you tend to find again that the person who's really overweight will have a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, whatever, who's also really overweight. This is something you observe, right? Now, of course, looks aren't the only factor. Grooming, styling, looks aren't the only factor that determine a relationship in the West, but you do see that this looks thing, appearance thing, we do see things kind of match up pretty well, right? Let me turn you around. I'm sure you're sick of looking at my beautiful head. Whereas here in Belarus, it kind of doesn't work that way, right? So in the West, if you want to do a bit better for yourself, you're like, you know what, I'd rather, from a male perspective, but female perspective, same thing. If I want to get a bit better girl, a better looking girl, well, I'll sharpen up a bit too. I'll buy some better clothes. I'll get a better haircut. I'll trim down, maybe build a bit of muscle, trim down the fat, plus other things. But just from a physical point of view, you can do those things and you'll notice a difference, right? If you just drop, from 25% down to say 15% body fat, just a slight little bit of muscle, dress a bit better, have a hairstyle, you will notice that you attract a higher quality girl. That's just how it works, right? And I'm sure girls notice the same thing. They gym it out a bit, get rid of the chub, and grow their hair, wear better clothes. They'll probably attract better quality dudes too. It's pretty obvious. Now, here in Belarus, and to some extent, Ukraine and Russia are kind of similar, but Belarus seems to be quite extreme in this context, that the man's appearance doesn't seem to matter too much. Indeed, on the most extreme end of this, like girls that are more, shall we say, thotty, what we tend to see, actually at the supermarket, bear with me, what we tend to see is that they're often with quite ugly guys, to be brutally honest. Often you'll see a girl who's put extraordinary effort into her appearance, and the guy is just kind of like plain haircut, bad round neck shirt, gut. And for a foreigner, from someone from a Western country where this concept of SMV, sexual market value, this is drilled into us. First of all, we see it in our own lives, and then there's this kind of theory that's been so popular the last maybe 10 years, right? And this is just hammered into us. So for us, this is just fact. Oh, I'm a 6, I go here and I'm a 7, or I go here and I'm a 4. Like, this is how guys think in 2024, right? So to come here and see, now obviously guys that are new here will think that if an attractive girl is being pleasant to them and meeting with them, that must mean that I'm a 6 in my own country and here I'm an 8, right? That's how it's interpreted. But indeed, this is incorrect. Very incorrect. So what does it mean? And what happens here? Well, here, essentially, men don't have a lot of value in and of themselves to women, right? It's just the system, the culture, how it's evolved, communism, feminism. In Belarus, there just wasn't a men for a whole generation after World War II. There just weren't any men at all. So you kind of got this thing where the society's not built around the man and woman relationship, right? Man is seen, I would say 80% of the time, not always, but 80% of the time, and certainly this is different to the West, as more of an accessory to the woman's life. So what does that mean? Well, it means because he doesn't have any value, it doesn't matter what his SMV is, because there's no real value there. Now, there are exceptions, and of course it still works on some level, right? You still get the concept of SMV on some level, but it's not worth as much here. So if you're a really good looking guy, it might help you a little bit, but not much. Yeah. So the SMV is still here just a little bit. I'm just trying to prove a point, right? I'm going to turn this off. I've got to buy some chocolates for the babushka at my university, so give me a second. Check this out, baby. Yes, please. All right, so where I was, that SMV for a man doesn't really count for much. It's some girls it can matter a lot, maybe like the West. Some girls it matters a little bit. Some girls, they just don't care at all. If you are an absolute, 6'4", jacked, jaw like a fucking helmet, like blah 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 blah, and you've only got $1 billion, but the fat ugly man next to you's got $1 billion and $10, she'll take the second one. I'm not joking. This is how it works with some girls. Now, of course, the whole culture is tilted that way, but as I say, some girls do care about SMV still, but for the most part, it's not money. Don't be confused. It's not money. It's benefit that she gets. Yeah. That don't narrowly define that as money. It's not that simple, but it can be money. And for that kind of girl who's with the really rough-looking dude, and I don't even mean rough like thug, because that's another thing. That would be like protection or feeling of safety, and having that feeling of hyper-masculinity. That would bring her to that guy in the most extreme case. But a lot of the times, they're just kind of soft-looking guys that will just do everything for her, essentially. So you see really guys that on the surface seem to be kind of incel types with absolute thought model types. It happens a lot. And not just IT. Obviously, IT's a known thing here. These are the guys with the money. They can be earning up to 5, 6, 7K a month clear. And the thoughts will hunt for the IT guys. You see thoughts scrolling through LinkedIn. That's pretty funny. But yeah, it's often just a service-based thing. So a young woman who's say 18 and never had a boyfriend and whatever, she doesn't have a lot of interest in men. Yeah, it's kind of how it works. It's kind of a bit awkward and unsure, and there's no, like, that inherent desire for a man isn't really there in a lot of girls. It can be a little bit, but often not that much. So guys, to get with a girl, especially young ones here, what I've seen just over and over again, and what I've heard have been rationed out by young men who have no dignity at all in these situations, it's just this kind of long-term orbiting simping approach. And the girl kind of learns the benefits of having him around, this kind of service-based type thing, right? That's kind of what happens a lot. Now, it depends, of course, the dynamics, and it can be a more Western style dynamics as well. It's possible, but this theme of kind of servitude means that she doesn't value you as a man, which means it doesn't matter what kind of man you are. Yeah, it doesn't matter your looks that much or anything else. It just doesn't matter that much in terms of her desire and interest in you. Again, it depends on the girl exactly and all that stuff, but on average, that's kind of what I'm putting out here. So this is why you see a lot of mismatches. And what you do see is the man doing a lot of things for the woman. You'll see the woman leading. You'll see the woman getting the benefit of all the interactions, right? He buys the coffee and cake, and then he'll go and get it and bring it to the table. And she just sits there ignoring him on the phone. This is what you see so often here. You see this kind of dynamic of just ignoring. I've seen guys just buy, even in the university cafeteria. This guy, he was sharing a table with me, and he was there, and the girl was 45 minutes late. Right? And he went up and bought her some food, gave it to her. She didn't even acknowledge him. Right? Now, this is an extreme situation, but actually not that extreme. You see it quite a bit. But most girls won't do it, but a lot will. I remember in one cafe I was sitting in, and the girl who I actually know was on a date, and this guy had bought the flowers and bought all the croissants and whatever, coffees and stuff, dessert, whatever. And all she's doing is posting it all on Instagram. He's just sitting there kind of slouched over, you know what I mean, hoping to kind of get some attention from her at some stage. So again, these are more extreme examples, but it shows you that the bell curve is shifted across quite a bit, right? The bell curve is shifted across quite a bit. So where I grew up in Australia, I had one of these trees in my front yard. Pretty cool, huh? I guess was introduced to Australia. I'll just have a guess. So as a result, of this, it doesn't matter too much what the guy looks like. Now, of course, this will change a little bit as a woman gets older and she has more experience. Some women will learn and now kind of understand an SMV concept a bit more as they get older and have experience, right? But for thoughts, they almost never do. Unless it's like right down the hyper end, right? They might go for that kind of hyper masculinity, for that raw sexual desire, but it has to be at a level that is not really delivered in real people, right? Or it's money down the other end so she can just have all the stuff she wants. So it's this kind of hardcore kind of dual mating strategy that thoughts have kind of worked out on an instinctive level, instinctive level. So anyway, there's some thoughts for you. Next time you're in Belarus and you're walking down the street and you're like, how the fuck did he get her? Now you know. She didn't give a fuck. All that time you spend in the gym, all that time and money you spend grooming and buying nice clothes, she doesn't give a fuck, mate. For the most part, she doesn't give a fuck. Now, some girls do, again. So I know some people are like, oh no, my girlfriend says this. But, en masse, on average, this is what we're looking at. The ROI on looking better here is just a fuckload lower for men than it would be in a place like Australia. That's just how it is. All right, folks, it's been a pleasure. Take it easy.